So in this video, I want to go over how anybody can easily replace any bad habit with the habit of learning. And I also want to give you a bunch of examples of how people do this all the time. And it's very simple. I'm going to break it down step by step. So the first thing that you want to make sure you're doing is finding your passion. Now, the best way to find your passion is to do the things that you're interested in. Explore as many interests as possible. Even things you might not think you're interested in. You might be interested in them if you do them. So try new things all the time. Explore. Have a curious mindset and keep exploring. And over time, these things will reveal themselves. Especially the younger you are, you want to try as many things as possible. You want to get out into the world and experience the world. Get your hands dirty. It's a beautiful thing. And the more experiences you have, the more resources you have to pull from, and the better idea you're going to have of what your true passions are. So out of everything that you're doing, you're going to narrow it down to your true passions, the ones that excite you the most. Now, once you find the things that you're most passionate about, you want to set achievable goals and be a tactician, basically, with the thing that you're pursuing. And you're going to want to keep track of these goals because you're going to go after them relentlessly, okay? You turn it into an obsession, and that obsession starts to grow. Like something that you plant in a garden, for instance. You keep watering it, and it grows, it flourishes, and it bears fruit. But if you don't water, you don't tend to the plant that you're growing, it's not going to bear any fruit. It's going to wilt over and eventually biodegrade back into the soil, and you'll have to start all over again. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you're tending to your garden. You want to see fruits. The next step is cultivating the habit of learning. You do this just by being consistent. Consistency is going to breed your habits. Okay, when you're consistent in something, it's going to turn into a habit eventually. Some people say it takes 30 days to create a habit. Some people says it takes 60 or 90 days. All of that doesn't really matter because you're going to be doing it for hundreds of days. Okay, hundreds and hundreds of days, all accumulating together to bring you toward mastery. And when you become a master at something, whatever it is that you choose you want to be a master at, it feels pretty damn good. So keep pursuing with relentless intention toward your passion of choice and watch the fruition happen. Watch the fruit grow. Now you can break things down into microlearning. You don't have to learn for hours at a time every day. It's best to learn in small little segments. Now, some of the apps that do this really well, Duolingo, for example, you can do these little 10-minute exercises with Duolingo for any language that you want to learn, right? You can practice it and learn your little thing. It takes like less than 5 minutes, some of them. And, you achieve the next circle and you're moved on to the next one. So when you have these little tiny achievements throughout the day, throughout the course of a week, the months, they all add up and they take you to where you're trying to get to that highest achievement. So remember to have micro learning sessions. Break them down into the tiniest, smallest chunks. The next thing you want to do is make sure you're celebrating your small wins. When you achieve something and you learn something new, acknowledge it. Maybe you want to treat yourself to a piece of chocolate or something, or maybe you go on a nice walk after you learned what you were trying to learn. You got to have these ways to give yourself a carrot at the end of the stick, and make sure you treat yourself nice. Reward yourself. Why not? One of the most important tools that you can use is a journal. Because when you journal and you write down what you're learning, it's going to sink in even more. But not only that, you become addicted to the progress that you're making. Because you're looking back on the old progress over the past months and the past years, and you marvel at how far you've come. the thing that gives you more encouragement is actually seeing how far you've come. That's when you're in a place of gratitude, abundance. You're at a higher vibration because you're appreciating how far you've come and you're not looking at how far you have to go. If you're always thinking about how far you have to go, you're coming from a place of lack. It's low energy, it's low vibration. So cut it out, stop that. Always look back on the progress you've made and be appreciative of where you are right now compared to where you would be if you didn't do anything. And now this next one is one of the most important that you can do with your learning new habits, new skills, and demolishing the older ones, okay? It's who you surround yourself with. Now, all types of communities in this world, you can join any type of community, right? Now, I always say this too, right? Aside from intellectual learning, you should always learn something physical as well. Like, if you've never surfed before, learn surfing. If you've never rock climbed before, learn rock climbing. If you don't know how to do jujitsu or boxing, take up these sports and immerse yourself in them. Join the communities, talk with the people. There's a certain thing that you learn in each of these. Like, let's take rock climbing, for example. I started rock climbing late in life, and I wish I would have, got into it sooner because it's such a great exercise. It's a primal exercise, and it feels great to do it, right? So when I went out to California is the first time I did rock climbing, right? And these communities are very smart as far as how to teach you certain ways to do it, right? So they will actually give you knowledge. They'll put you up on game on how to rock climb more efficiently and things to look out for. And then in these communities, you start to become friends with a lot of people. So, right, you start to learn the language that they use. Like, you start to learn things like heel hooks or crimping and anchoring and bouldering or belays and stuff like that. There's all sorts of things that you learn in each of these communities. So pick one of those communities, pick a sport or pick an activity and immerse yourself in it. It's a beautiful thing, and it helps you not only learn intellectually, but you're physically getting an exercise as well. Look at it from a mindset of gamifying the process. You turn it into a game. Now, like I mentioned with Duolingo, they turned learning into a game, and it's brilliant. It's a brilliant way to learn a language if you're not going to be in a classroom setting or learning in another country or what have you. You can learn really well with apps like this, but you don't necessarily have to have an app. Whatever it is that you're trying to learn, gamify the process. All you have to do is treat it like a video game. There's a reason why video games are so addictive, because you're leveling up, you're trying to get to the next level, you're notching up, you're unlocking achievements, you're gaining certain positions in the game, and it's addictive. You want to keep playing the game. So the only way to get addicted to the game is to keep playing. And the more you play, the more addicted you become to the game. So there's always a game that we're chasing. So choose wisely what it is that you want to chase in life and become very, very good at the game. Don't play the wrong game. Now, this next thing is one of the most beautiful things when it comes to increasing your skill in learning new things. It is challenging yourself and competing with other people. Competing on a level that's mutual. You're competing for the sole purpose of building on each other. So if you're competing with somebody, you're not trying to crush them into the ground. You're trying to one up on them, and it keeps going up. So you guys feed off of each other's energy, and a rising tide rises all ships, basically. So there's this thing called the Pygmalion effect, where you rise to the expectations of those who you're surrounded with. So in a competitive environment, if you're in the more competitive environment, you're going to get better. If you're in a less competitive environment, you're not going to get as good as the person who's in a more competitive environment. That's the way it works. So get in an environment that is more competitive as you can find. It's very important. The next thing is stay curious. Cultivate your curiosity. Question everything. Okay? Cross-examine things. Investigate everything. Okay? Whatever you're learning, don't just take anything at face value. Look into it. You know, there's one of the things that people have trouble doing these days is they just take information as it's spoon-fed to them. They don't know how to look around corners. They don't know how to even see ahead. So they just accept things at face value because of the person presenting it, when they don't do any research on their own. Become a lover of researching. Become a lover of knowledge and wisdom. And keep feeding that knowledge. Keep feeding that hunger. And then very importantly, you want to take action on what it is that you're learning. You don't want to just learn something, hear something, or read something, let it go in one ear or eye and out the other, but you actually want to put it into practice. So for instance, if you're reading a book and you learn something interesting in the book, tell it to somebody. Tell your friend, tell your family member, tell your children, tell your parents what it is that you read. Pull out the camera, record a video about it. Do something with the knowledge that you learned, because oftentimes if you don't do anything with it, it ends up escaping you and it's harder to recall later on. So then if you learn something, let's take language for instance. If you're learning a new language, if you're not using that language with other people, it's eventually going to disappear. You're not going to have those words in your mind anymore. They're going to escape you. So use the words continuously when you learn them. Use what you learn. The next thing is to focus on the growth mindset. You know, there's two different kinds of mindsets. It can be boiled down into two different mindsets: the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. Now, the fixed mindset is like, it's always like this. You start to use words like it's always, or I'm just destined to be a failure, or I just might as well give up. You know, that type of language is a fixed mindset mentality. That doesn't get anybody anywhere in life. Now, on the other side of that is the growth mindset. The growth mindset is somebody who believes in themselves. You're focused on the growth, how you're going to get better, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and how pain improves you. When you go through something hard, it's going to make you much better. So when you embrace the growth mindset, you're able to see beyond your petty feelings that you're feeling right now in the moment. You push through that, you transcend that, because somebody who is in a fixed mindset will never know their potential. And then somebody who's in a growth mindset will surprise themselves at how far they can go. Now, focusing on the process, there's an art to that. There's an art to being able to focus on the process instead of focusing on the outcomes. A lot of times we like to focus on the outcome instead of the process, right? But the true beauty and the true art is in the process. That's where the true enjoyment is. That's the engaged, locked-in feeling of being in the video game and striving for the next level. But if you're coming from a place of lack, always looking to the outcome that you want, you're coming from that place of lack and it's draining. It's actually taking energy from you. And if you look at how far you've come instead and the progress that you're making, that actually is giving you energy. It's feeding you because you want to get to the next level. So by utilizing all of these habits here that I've shared with you today, you can actually replace a lot of the negative and bad habits that you have with the habit of learning and the habit of growth, as it feeds you every day. So lock in and focus on where you want to go in life. And don't allow the bad habits to keep you stagnated and keep you stuck. That's all I have for today. You guys go out there and learn something amazing and share it with the world. Double down on your passion. Keep getting to the next level. And we'll see you again.